So let's go ahead and get on this. I did a video on her already, but I do want to go over a few things that I didn't go over with her, or in case you missed the video, to be caught up with. The first pick that he pretty much had was Susie Wiles to be the chief of staff. Now, this chick is not good, to say the least. No bueno. Of course, people are praising it as, oh, she did wonderful things because of his campaign to win by such a large landslide to do this. And, oh, look, it's a woman, the first one to take the post. So he's not, you know, misogynist or any type of thing. So those are getting pushed in that type of direction. But let's just go ahead and dive into who Wiles is and where she comes from. So Susie Wiles was, not anymore because of her nomination here. Susie Wiles is co-chair of Mercury, Florida, and Washington, D.C. offices. And we can kind of jump down through this. It says she's been a political strategist for more than 25 years, political strategy, government relations, public affairs, lead advisor for multiple presidential, gubernatorial, and state campaigns. She managed Rick Scott's and Ron DeSantis's campaigns for governor of Florida. She served as the Florida strategist for the 2016 and 2020 campaigns of President Donald Trump, as well as this most recent one, 2024. And so she's involved with that. She resides as the chair of Save America PAC, which, if anybody knows anything about that, that's surrounded by Democrats. So that's kind of an interesting thing on that when I looked at it. But Mercury, who do they represent? They're like a lobbyist group, to say the least. They represent things like Gavi, which is, of course, Bill and Melinda Gates, drug peddling program. Kaiser Permanente, who's all jacked up in the whole, twisting medical health for their fun. That type of stuff, represents United Nations Foundation, the Ford Foundation. There's Pfizer, brought to you by Pfizer, of course. Gilead, which, of course, is another one of those biotech, biopharmaceutical companies. And I find it fascinating that they represent Tesla as well. Of course, we know the connection of Elon Musk to Trump as well. So she co-chaired Mercury, who represents all those companies. And Mercury is actually owned by another conglomerate group called the Omnicom Group, which is indeed a partner with the World Economic Forum. So globalists surrounded by globalists, who's all involved with the campaigns, who is now currently being nominated for chief of staff for Trump's campaign. But if we keep moving forward, I found some other stuff as I was digging through this, which I find interesting, that really surrounds Trump with Big Pharma. And anybody who says Trump is anti-Big Pharma has absolutely no idea what's going on, or they just don't care and they're just going to ignore vax, which I've run into that, I don't know, way too many times. But yeah, Sturgis Big Pharma, according to Trump, yes. And of course, remember, he still to this day calls himself the father of the vax. So keep that in mind. So given the increasingly vocal opposition to the COOF vax program, including among his base, why does Trump continue to demand a claim for his role in pushing the thingies? We find the answer is Susie Wiles, who appears to be the connective tissue between Trump and Big Pharma. On April 26, Politico published a lengthy profile identifying Wiles as the most feared and least known political operative in America. Anybody heard of her before this? Don't think so. I didn't either. Currently serving as Trump's most important advisor, his de facto campaign manager, and in essence, his chief of staff for the last more than 3 years. That's worded kind of weird. Says Wiles is also a seasoned lobbyist. Her LinkedIn profile summarizes her leadership roles at multiple corporate and political lobbying firms since the mid-1980s, allowing her to sway Trump's psyche with her conflicts of interest. Wiles became co-chair of lobbying firm Mercury Public Affairs in February of 2022. We just talked about that. As highlighted by Holistic News, Mercury's clientele includes Pfizer, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, which spearheaded vax funding and distribution efforts during the COOF crisis. A role also played by the United Nations Foundation, another Mercury client, and Gilead Sciences, developer of the equally rushed COOF therapeutic remdesivir. I can never pronounce that, but you guys know what that is. Mercury's president, John Gallagher is a strategic advisor for Trishman Realty. The company's chairman, Dan Trishman, is honorary chair emeritus of the Natural Resources Defense Council, which I noted earlier this month, went on the attack against Kennedy. General counsel, these are all people at Mercury, by the way. John Gallagher, Dan Tishman, as well as Max Sandlin here, described as a top Democratic strategist, served as a high-level deputy to former House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, whose Big Pharma funded Ameripac recently launched a campaign calling for Kennedy to drop out of the 2024 race, as reported by the Kennedy Beacon. So we've got a whole bunch of people that sit on the board of Mercury, including Trump's chief of staff and lobbyist who's been with him for a long time, since 2016 at least, who are all pro big pharma, anti, freedom of health and all that type of stuff. And she's stepping into the role with Donald Trump, who of course still to this day calls him the father of the vax. He was a part of Crimson Contagion, which was the precursor to Event 201, which of course turned into what it is now. But if we keep going, it says Mercury's senior team is further peppered with pharmaceutical lobbyists and executives. Adina Mincher, director of governmental compliance, worked in sales and marketing for GlaxoSmithKline. Where have we heard that before? I brought them up during the Trump card video. We'll get to that in just a second. Tony Moffitt, a Mercury partner, was the top government affairs executive at the Monsanto company. Wow, man. This is a wonderful place that Susie Wiles is coming from. Managing director Tammy Gordon was director of digital experience for Novavax, promoting its COOF product in 40 countries before running digital communications for Biden's 2020 campaign in Florida. Drain the swamp, baby. But getting back to GlaxoSmithKline, you guys remember, I talked about this in the Trump card video. So if you guys want to go check that out again, or if you haven't seen it yet, this is Trump's head of Operation Warp Speed was Dr. Moncef Slaoui. Well, Dr. Moncef Slaoui was the GlaxoSmithKline Senior Vice President of World Business Development and External Alliances, as well as the head of R&D research over there. And not to mention, GlaxoSmithKline is also tied heavily to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as well. Meet the new boss. Same as the old one, right? Let's keep going, shall we? This boon for the pharma biotech industry was only possible because of the unprecedented testing campaign. Yet another pandemic money grab for clients of Wiles' firms prior to joining Mercury. Wiles worked at Ballard Partners, a lucrative, well-connected firm whose client list included multiple manufacturers of the COOF tests. This included Nanobiosm and military-funded genetic diagnostics company, as reported by Nanotechnology Now. Robert Langer, co-founder of Moderna, sits on Nanobiosim's advisory board. Nanobiosim has received substantial backing from Unreasonable Group, a public-private incubator partnered with the State Department and Johnson & Johnson, subsidized by, of course, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Given these immense financial interests, it's not hard to ascertain which forces drive the Wiles MO. The majority of Americans have already decided that they want somebody new in the White House, reports the Associated Press. However, Political notes the event greater power Wiles might have if Trump wins later this year, offering a glimpse into the aggressively pro-big pharma platform circulating the second Trump presidency. And if you guys don't remember, I did this during the Trump card as well. Gavi is partnered, of course, all with the UNICEF, World Health Organization, World Bank, civil society organizations, vaccine manufacturers, research agencies. And we know Trump, along with his U.S. aid during his campaign, gave $1.16 billion to Gavi in order to distribute the shots as well. So this idea that Trump has dropped the big pharma perspective is false. He's surrounding himself with one of the biggest incubators of bringing those people in for this as well. And he continues to this day to call himself the father of the vax and one of the greatest cures available out there. His words, not mine. So I find that fascinating. Now, the interesting part is people go, how on earth does this work with now the nominated head of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., who pretty much everybody believes that he's the opposite of what Wiles is pushing and opposite of big pharma and whatnot. I said, watch for the heel turn. And here's the heel turn. After Trump win, RFK Jr. says he won't take away anybody's vaxes. He won't take them away. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who will meet with senior Trump aides Wednesday to discuss his role going forward, said he would eliminate the nutrition departments of the FDA. But it says RFK Jr., who may play a key role overseeing public health issues in the second Trump administration, said Wednesday that he wouldn't take anybody's vaxes away. Said in an interview with NBC News whether there are specific jabs that he would remove from the market. Kennedy rejected the idea that he's anti-vaccine, despite his repeated claims about them being related to stuff. You got to be careful because the platform I'm on, and his involvement with Children's Health Defense, a leading anti-thing group. He reiterated that he wouldn't take them away from any Americans. It's theater being played. I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. It was going to come out and he would have a heel turn. And he did. Why? Because in order for him to play the game, he has to be willing to bow down to the big pharma and the globalists to do so. It's just how it works. If you want to play the game, you got to play by their rules. That's just how it goes. And not to mention, he still fully supports abortion up until birth. If people forgot that, that was just a couple months ago that he said that he's for full-term abortion. So imagine that. Imagine that. Just keeps on getting better, doesn't it? Doesn't it? All right, let's keep rolling, shall we? Since we've covered that stuff, we'll go ahead and get into this one because I'm sure everybody's raring to talk about this one. I'm sure everybody's aware of the recently established DOGE, or Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. First things first, worth noting, it's not an official government department. They do not have authority over anybody. This is an outside think tank. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have obvious influence, but they don't have the authority to literally go into places and start firing people. They have to send their recommendations over to the people who can. So keep that in mind. And as we know, DC is already filled with like 6,000 think tanks already. So what's one more, right? I also find it fascinating. And when this was first announced, I did a video on it. It's actually based off a meme. If anybody knows the Doge dog, that's the Shiba Inu, which that was turned into a cryptocurrency after it became a meme. That's where the term meme coin came from. Now they have a department run by Musk and Vivek named after a meme, which again, that just shows the absolute theater and joke that politics are when it comes to this. But yeah, we're all aware of Elon Musk and his technology, SpaceX, his Starlink, the Neuralink, Grok AI, X platform, which he wants to turn into the everything app, including the like a main financial platform. He's working on like cryptocurrency and all that stuff as well. But often forgotten that people don't realize is his Tesla corporation is actually connected to CureVac. And I've talked about this before. But yeah, it says Tesla teams up. This was back in 2020. This is going on. It says Tesla teams up with CureVac to make RNA microfactories for the Koof shot. German vaccine maker CureVac has lost some shine in the race for the Koof shot after other mRNA-based hopefuls have captured regulators' attention. Even so, CureVac has reportedly snared a big partner to help it, build its game-changing RNA printers that could turn global interest back in its favor. Tesla CEO Elon Musk tweeted Thursday that the electronic car maker had signed on with CureVac to make important molecular RNA printers, what Musk appeared to refer to as the RNA microfactories, to help produce the German vaccine maker's Koof shot candidate. Musk said this company was working on printers as a side project and could take on additional partners in the future. You can see there through the tweet thing. And people don't realize that Musk is very pro vax as well. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, so Musk, of course, is all caught up in this as well, looking to make as much money through that as possible. But what about Vivek, since he's the co-head of Doge with Musk? Well, again, I've done a thing on Vivek as well, but just in case you missed it, you're new here or you don't remember, just as a refresher. If people don't realize, Vivek Ramaswamy was, well, founder and CEO of Roivant Sciences after becoming a fellowship with the Paul and Daisy Soros group. If you guys don't know who Paul Soros is, that is George Soros's brother. That is right. Vivek Ramaswamy comes from the Soros group, and he went straight into Roivant Sciences, which, yes, is gene editing stuff. We can see Vivek Ramaswamy strikes again with this time launching a Beijing-based biotech player with a pipeline. Roivant, of course, is biotech and bioengineering that was founded in China. And if you actually look at its records here, subsidy records of Roivant Sciences, you can see that China is listed among them as well. He's so anti-China and so anti-globalist, but why is he all surrounded by them? That's very fascinating, isn't it? Well, if you keep going, it says Roivant spin out Datavant emerges with Seox, Quakes, something like that, to form $7 billion health data giant. It says Datavant and Quakes, I'll just call it Quakes because it's fun to say, Health have agreed a merger that would create what they claim to be the largest health data company operating in the U.S. market. The combined company, which will take the Datavant name, will be worth around $7 billion and have annual revenues of around $700 million, according to the two companies. San Francisco-based Datavant was spun out of biopharma entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy's Roivant Group, which again in China, 2018, and operates a cloud-based platform that helps life sciences and healthcare groups manage, secure, and share anonymized data. And we could see here, this was the big one that came out in 2020. Datavant boots up a big COOF registry looking to shine a light on virus spread, impact, and most effective therapies. That's right. Vivek Ramaswamy, along with all of his bioengineering and data collection, wanted to take all of your DNA from the COOF tests in order to create a registry. But there's more. We can see Roivant. This is after Vivek left, but still kind of interesting. So I thought I would throw it in there. But stipulation, this was after he left. This was in 2022. Roivant and Pfizer team up on an inflammatory disease drug. It says biotech firm Roivant Sciences on Thursday launched a company with Pfizer, Inc., focused on experimental bowel disease treatment as the drug makers seek to tap into a multi-billion-dollar market. Yeah. Very, very interesting. So far, for draining the swamp, we've got big pharma lobbyists and connected to the UN Swamp Thing, Susie Wiles. We've got RFK Jr. With family ties that go into, families that we don't have time for, as well as backtracking on his whole taking away the vax thing, which is kind of interesting. And then we've got the two heads of the Doge department, who was transhumanist and a Satanist and a Hindu, who's all hooked up with Big Pharma and data collection and George Soros. Not seeing much when it comes to the draining of the swamp. But not to mention, let's not forget the connection of J.D. Vance to Vivek's brother, Shane Carr, shall we? If you guys remember, J.D. Vance started up the investment company Narya. And one of the connections is Kriya Therapeutics, which you actually go to Kriya's website. Shane Carr Ramaswamy, which is Vivek's brother, is the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of it. And what do? Well, they're Gene Therapy Redefined. We are a biopharmaceutical gene therapy company developing life-changing gene therapies for conditions affecting millions of people around the world. Our mission is to make gene therapies accessible, not just to the few, but for the many. Along with that, if you look at it, Narya also funds Amplify Bio and Rumble, which I've talked about this as well. Amplify Bio, of course, is a concept commercial dedicated to providing expert services for drug discovery, characterization, optimization, in vitro and in vivo safety studies, and manufacturing for a broad range of drug modalities, including small molecule, cell, and gene therapies, mRNA, and other biologics. And then Rumble, of course, we can see Narya, which is JD Vance, and Peter Thiel lead investment into Rumble, which eventually rolled into True Social, now being a part of Rumble video and cloud services. And if you guys don't know what True Social is, that is Trump's platform, his social platform. And so Rumble is in bed with Trump, of course, because they're funded by people like Peter Thiel, who's in bed with Trump, and JD Vance. Of course, we see what's going on with that, and so on and so forth, which is why Rumble is that anti-left group where they're paying all these controlled op right-wing influencers to have their stuff over there, like Steven Crowder, Dan Bongino, Viva Frey, and on and on and on. You can follow that if you want to. But yeah, I'm not seeing any swamp draining. I'm not seeing any swamp draining. Are you? I'm just curious. Not seeing it. Okay, let's keep going. Maybe we can find a non-swamp thing along the way. Let's go ahead and jump over to Tulsi Gabbard. Everybody knows Tulsi Gabbard, right? Well, let's go take a look at what's going on with Tulsi. She has been nominated for the National Intelligence Director. Well, where does she come from? Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard is refocusing her military career in California. After 17 years, Tulsi Gabbard is leaving the Hawaii Army National Guard for a new unit on the mainland. Well, what is that unit? Please tell me. I'm curious. Well, in August, her congressional office issued a press release saying that the 17-year National Guard veteran will be joining a Civil Affairs Reserve unit on a deployment to Alaska to work with Alaskan Native tribes. Last week, her office issued a press release saying she would go on 4 weeks of active duty with the reserves to train as a Civil Affairs officer. Neither press release explained that Gabbard, however, had transferred out of the Hawaii Army National Guard or that she was assigned to the Army Reserve's 351st Civil Affairs Command in Mountain View, California. So what is the 351st Civil Affairs Command, you ask? Well, Jeff Jacobs, who is a retired Major General in the Army Reserve, said Civil Affairs is a good fit for someone like Gabbard. Jacobs was in charge of the Army Civil Affairs and Psychological Affairs Command before retiring in 2014. And he said plenty of politicians have made their way through the ranks, including late South Carolina Senator Thurman and Ed Rendell. The command's mission is to engage with and influence civilians, whether it's helping to build schools, repair infrastructure, or as Jacobs did in Iraq, prop up local governments. The 351st Civil Affairs Group is connected to the U.S. Army's psychological division, the PSYOP division. Remember that big heel turn that she turned from being Democrat to Republican all of a sudden and was against all these types of things? And now she's got all these conservatives following along with her. Interesting. Let's keep going. Yes, she was also part of the Young Global Leaders, which she was excited to be a part of in 2015, which everybody says, no, she's changed her ways because she's come out and denounced the WEF and all that stuff. You sure? You sure? People don't realize that she was actually a member of the Council on Foreign Relations as well. Yes, the globalist New Age group that was created by the Rockefellers. Yeah. Connected to Chatham House, which is the first one created over in the UK. Yeah, she was part of the Council on Foreign Relations until 2019. You can see it right there. Her name has been scrubbed from the website. You got to go back in the Wayback Machine. Praise the Lord that they got that back up and running. But yeah, she was a part of that as well. Member of the WEF, PSYOPs, Council on Foreign Relations. Man. Fight the swamp, right? How about this? This is straight from her Instagram. Yeah, that's her with a mask and a face shield. Says, I am oddly getting a lot of compliments on my face shield. Thanks, Corona. Oh, man. Ay, caramba. Yeah. I think we can put that into swamp category on that one. But again, as I'm going through this, I still got some more here. As I'm going through this, I'm not telling you guys what to believe. I'm just presenting to you what I have found. It's up to you. It is entirely up to you. I'm not going to beat you over the head and try and convince you. Sorry, I got something in the back of my throat there. Try and convince you. It's up to you. Take it in whatever direction you want. Go and double check, triple check all my stuff. Go be a brain. Go look it up yourself. Don't believe anything that I'm telling you. Go find it yourself. But at the same time, I'm not here to convince you one way or another. I'm just